Hey everybody, back in 2016, I published a tutorial called A Tale of Two Shawls. It was more of a recipe to show you how to eliminate the hump that a lot of crescent shawls develop. These are just two examples from that tutorial itself, and it's been a freebie since 2016 if you signed up for my newsletter. I've used that cast on several different patterns as well, such as Sweet Caroline shawl and the pattern sleeves, which is basically a crescent shawl with sleeves. And also I've tweaked it a little bit, for each of these patterns. And this particular tutorial is going to support the cast on for a new pattern called a Perfect Crescent shawl. But I just wanted to show you the difference. Oftentimes when you do a regular garter tab cast on, which is right up here, actually you would probably look at it this way, wouldn't you? You cast on 3 stitches, you knit several rows, and then you pick up stitches along the selvage edge and pick up those and knit back and forth using yarn overs and knit one yarn over, knit ones here, and you end up with this little bump. It looks kind of like a mustache on Super Mario, something like that. And so I was like, there has to be a better way because I don't really care for that hump. So I thought, well, what we need are, see how these picked up stitches are attached to your little garter tab up here? I thought, why don't we replace those with some yarn overs? So this one I did exactly that, where you cast on some stitches, cast on your 3 stitches, knit a little garter tab, knit these stitches and do a yarn over, pick up a stitch, another yarn over before you come back and pick up stitches from your original cast on. That's one thing that we do, and that's what this tutorial is about. Also, there's some shaping in here that you need to put in basically a wedge where I have a series of increases that open up the crescent a little bit more, and the patterns that I have mentioned already do that as well, but this tutorial is specifically for the garter tab cast on. So let's take a look at that in a graphic representation first, and then I'll do the actual video tutorial with yarn and needles. So the directions say for the Perfect Crescent shawl to cast on 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3. Yes, they're just little loops, and you can cast on however you like. You can cast on provisionally, you can cast on with a cable cast on, you can use long tail if you like, Old Norwegian. They all work nicely. Then the directions say to knit 5 rows. So pardon my stitches here. Oops. 2 rows knit, 3 rows knit, 4 rows knit, and 5 rows knit. Now just remember that these purple ones are your cast on, and that your working yarn is right here. Then the directions say turn your work and knit 3 stitches. So you're going to knit these stitches right here. Normally for a garter tab cast on, you knit these 3 stitches that you just knit, and then you pick up and knit a stitch for each of those garter nubs that are there. You know how you get a ridge, and the nubs on the end of the selvage edge you pick up and knit. We are not going to do that. We're actually going to replace this one and this one with a yarn over. So let's do that. So you've knit these 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3. Now you're going to do a yarn over, pick up and purl. I really like writing pup there. You're not going to pick up and knit, you are going to pick up and purl this center ridge. And then on this ridge, instead of picking up and knitting, you are going to do that yarn over. So now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches. Now you're going to turn your work again like this and pick up 3 stitches from your original cast on edge right there. So 7, 8, 9 stitches. So basically all you're doing is, if you've got this garter tab ridge over here with your cast on there and your working yarn here, you're going to knit these stitches. You'll do a yarn over, you'll pick up and purl a stitch, pick up and purl, you'll do another yarn over, and then pick up these stitches. However, when these stitches are all on your needle, they're going to be all bunched up. And it'll look something like that. It's not going to look all rectangular like that, where you knit these stitches picked up and then knit that way. They're going to be bunched up on your needle, so it's not going to look like very much. Don't worry about that. It will work out. Just follow the directions and follow the tutorial, which follows next. So the pattern that I call a Perfect Crescent shawl starts off with cast on 3 stitches. You can cast on however you like. I have tried several different ways, and honestly, they all end up looking really great to me. So it's really what you prefer to do. Some people like to do a provisional cast on using barber cord, and Laura Nilkin has an excellent tutorial on her website for how to do that. You can do long tail, you can do twisted German, you could do cabled cast on. I think I'll just do a variation of long tail, which is called, I don't know, it's Old Norwegian. I've heard it called twisted German. It basically just is long tail with an extra twist to it. So you make your slingshot. Again, you don't have to do it this way. Cast on however you like. And I'll cast on 1, 2, because I'm counting my loop there as 1. Some people don't like to do that, but I find that it looks very good. And now if you're like me, you need to make sure that you don't knit with your tail. So I've got my strand of yarn here, whoops. And it says to knit 5 rows. So we'll just knit 5 rows. So that's going to be 5 rows of garter. So 1, 2, 3, there's 1 row. You can skip ahead if you like, if anyone is interrupting you. 2 rows, flip your work. Third row, 3 rows. This is really boring for you. 4 rows. And 5 rows. There you go. Now next, the directions say to do your setup rows. So we're going to turn your work. You're going to turn your work. And it says knit 3. So basically that is 6 rows there. So 1, 2, 3. This little thing here, this tiny little piece of knitting, is called a garter tab. That's it, because it's like a little pull tab on, I don't know, a soda can or something. Not exactly, but it's made of yarn. But notice that we have 1, 2, 3 garter ridges here. What we'll do next, and the directions said, okay, knit 3, we did that. And they say to turn your work 90 degrees clockwise so that your garter selvage edge is facing up, and we're going to, instead of picking up 1, 2, 3 stitches, instead of this one, we're going to do a yarn over like I talked about in the little graphic. And then I will pick up, twist, and purl from this little garter nub there before I do another yarn over. So instead of picking anything up from this first garter ridge here, I'm going to do a yarn over. And then it says to pick up and purl from this second ridge here. Okay, But like, how do I do that? Here's where having a double pointed needle comes in handy. I would just pick it up with the double pointed needle. Don't lose your yarn over. And the directions say to twist it. So using your cable or double pointed needles, pick up the garter nub along the selvage edge and twist it counterclockwise. You can do it once, you can do it twice. But the idea is to twist this so that when we knit it, it will twist. That does make a difference, I find. So do you see how that twists over there? It just makes it look like it's part of the lace work instead of a picked up stitch. Now yarn over again. Now we have to go back to our original cast on, and this is the part that you want to think about when you do your actual cast on. What's the easiest thing for you to pick up from? I just get my little tail out of the way there. I pick up that nub, and you don't have to worry about twisting anything now. But there, now I have a nice little stitch and I knit it. Now before I move on, I'm going to go and look back here and make sure I didn't lose my yarn overs. So here are the 1, 2, 3 stitches that I knit, yarn over, pick up, twist, and purl, yarn over. So I've got those 6. This is my 7th. So I need 2 more from that cast on edge. So I just kind of go back and find it in there. And then this last one, I don't want to just knit into that little hole there. I'll pull it up this way. Come here. It looks like kind of a mess. This does not look like a little tab rectangle with 3 stitches here and 3 stitches here and 3 stitches over there. That's because they're all bunched up on those needles, but it will open up like when I pull my cable through there. It will open up. And follow the directions for the pattern and you will end up doing some shaping that create a little wedge there, and you will have a humpless perfect crescent shawl. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll see you later. Enjoy.